Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup podcast, the show where we dive into the stories, people, and places driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Kerri Shields. Today, we have a very special episode. I am currently in Frisco, Texas, thanks to Visit Frisco, and we are interviewing Scott Burchett, the general manager of the Frisco RoughRiders. In this conversation, we talk all things Frisco, baseball, the RoughRiders, the importance of community and partnerships in making the best fan experience possible. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Welcome to Sports City, USA, Frisco, Texas. Ever wonder how a small town in North Texas became the epicenter of American sports? From the Dallas Cowboys to the PGA of America, Frisco is where champions train, fans gather, and unforgettable events come to life. In our new docuseries, Where Greatness Grows, hear the real story from the people who built it. City leaders, sports execs, and visionaries who turned Frisco into a powerhouse for tournaments and meetings. With world-class venues, championship fields, and top-tier hotels all in one place, Frisco is more than ready to host your next big event. Watch the story at sportscityusa.com.
You have so many of the professional leagues touching this community, whether it's Major League Soccer or the NFL or the PGA.
Failure was just not an option.
It's been really cool to build the business that we have here in Frisco.
It's one of those places where you want to be if you're into sports.
People are pointing here, and they're saying, I need to go there.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Playeasy Warmup podcast. Scott, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Of course. Yeah. No, I'm excited to be in Frisco. It's my first time here, and I know it's our first time meeting, but there are two things I know that we have in common.
Okay.
One, basketball is actually our primary sport. And two, we are both heavily influenced by our parents' experience within sports that has taken us to our professional careers. So could you start with kind of the influence that your dad's career had on your position today?
Absolutely. Well, growing up, my dad was a TV director. That's what actually brought us to DFW back in the day. My parents met and then moved to Dallas. He was actually the number 4 employee with the Dallas Mavericks when they were kicking off back in 1980. So I grew up going to Reunion Arena back in the day for the Dallas Mavericks, and then from there that transitioned to a job with the Texas Rangers. He was a director producer doing games for the Rangers and ESPN and Fox Sports. So I grew up going to ballparks. I grew up being around sports. I knew I wanted to be in sports in some capacity. I had a love for it, but I also knew I didn't want to travel as much as he did. He was on airplanes all the time, flying around with the team. So it was fun watching that grow and kind of seeing that side of it, and just the passion and the energy and the vibe around sports. I want to be in that. So it was great watching him. It was great learning from him. And then on the flip side, my dad also coached me all the time growing up too. So not only had the business side, but the personal side. You know, when he wasn't at a Ranger game or a Maverick game, he was always out there, hitting ground balls to me for baseball or teaching me my jump shot or free throw form in the backyard.
Okay, so we have more in common than I thought. I'm also, both my parents were coaches, and I grew up watching, essentially our daycare was at the court. And so it was such a cool experience and very similar. I knew I wanted to be in sports in some capacity, and kind of a crazy journey to where I am today. But you, within the RoughRiders organization, have essentially been there for over 20 years and have held pretty much every job imaginable within that organization. Can you speak to just the importance of being able to have all of those roles to be able to be in the leadership role that you're in today?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been with the organization since 2004. I only missed the year one back in 2003, but it's been a fun ride. I never expected that. I was going to go to the RoughRiders for a 6-month internship, then I was going to leave to go to Ohio University to get my master's. I was planning to bounce around different spots and hopefully maybe end up back at home in DFW, but they offered me a full-time job literally 2 days before I left for Athens, Ohio, kind of the same level I would have got coming out of grad school. So I took it and then worked my way up from there. My leadership style is very hands-on, so it's very helpful for me to kind of work from the ground up and kind of learn all the different aspects of the organization. And, what we do, minor league baseball, it takes a certain amount of grit and a certain amount of involvement. So, being able to understand all the ins and outs of it and work alongside and with everybody there, it's been really helpful in my career path and our success with the RoughRiders.
That's amazing. And I've heard you say that you are not exactly in the sports business. You are in the memory-making business.
Yeah, no
Can
doubt.
you speak to the importance of just creating those memories at your stadium?
For sure. Minor league baseball is so unique, and it has such a special place in society. It really is kind of a throwback to what baseball used to be. It's not about the wins and the losses. It's about the sights, the sounds, the smells, the fireworks. Your bluey nights. We have Bowling for Soup coming out this week. It's just all the different wacky entertainment things that you can do. So, for us, it's about mom, dad, 2.5 kids. Coming out, making a memory, maybe experiencing their first game at the ballpark. Going down to the field, watch the post-game fireworks show. Yeah, when they're walking out, they might not remember who won, who lost, who hit a home run, who didn't, but they remember that, quality family time that they had at the ballpark.
Definitely. And I saw that you guys recently had backyard baseball there, which was really exciting for me as a millennial and just bringing me back. But how has those kind of experiences helped with your overall brand identity and just the fan engagement that you've had with the RoughRiders?
For sure. We have 69 home games, so there's a lot of opportunities to theme it out. So we have a lot of different promotions that we try to hit on different demographics to get people out to the ballpark. Anything from, again, I mentioned all those family-centered ones like Bluey and Paw Patrol, to our Thirsty Thursdays. We got a Rowdy at the River party. We have a lazy river in the outfield, by the way. So we have a Rowdy at the River where you and 500 of your closest friends can go out there and enjoy the river on a nice hot summer day and enjoy $2 drinks, fireworks every Friday and Sunday. So we try to hit something that kind of hits every demographic to bring them out to the ballpark.
That's amazing. And that's something I said before this interview was as soon as I said I was coming out here, everyone knew the lazy river.
Yes.
And so that was something that came 15 years into your career with RoughRiders.
Yeah.
How has that helped just with people coming, experiencing the game, and from a different level?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. You're from Philadelphia, and you had heard of it. It's one of those things that goes viral multiple times a summer. It takes off and it gets on ESPN or Barstool, or certain influencers might come out and enjoy a game. But it's I think our owner Chuck puts it well. It's almost like that new roller coaster at Six Flags, where not everybody rides it, but everybody talks about it. So it's just such a unique talking point that makes our ballpark different than any others, and it's been such a fun thing to activate on. Going into the business, I never thought I'd be a pool expert, but the things you learn in minor league baseball, now I know how to build a pool and then kind of also maintain a pool. But it's been really cool, and it's just something that's been incredibly popular. We actually had a pool before that, but it was a residential style pool, and it sat 20 or 25. And it did so well that we decided to build a second pool. But as things happened in a brainstorming process, that pool just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It was taking up almost the entire right field. And then one day, somebody said, I want to make a lazy river. And that's how we ended up with it.
Yeah, and could you talk more on that brainstorming session?
Yeah.
Because I think that so much of what you are doing is innovative. And this podcast, we like to tell stories about innovation, technology, and how it's influencing the sports tourism industry. So we'd love to hear just kind of what those brainstorming conversations look like and who's involved in those conversations.
Yeah, so it usually starts with me going to one of our staff and to say I have an idea, which, again, most of them are probably bad, but maybe end up that turned into a good idea. They always roll their eyes because I'm constantly throwing stuff out. But then, when you start kind of fine-tuning those, we get together as a leadership team, and, some of it's formal and sitting down, and so much of it is just informal as well. So just sitting around talking at a game, maybe on a slow weeknight, just how do we figure out ways to activate, the ballpark and come up with new and exciting ways. I view the ballpark as just a real estate play. So how do we carve up those spaces in the ballpark? The way people really utilize a ballpark is different than it was 25 years ago when the ballpark was first built. So how do we take those spaces and kind of reimagine them and kind of meet the fans where they're at so they have the best experience possible at the game?
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question, which is going to be, right now you're competing not just against other minor league teams, you're also competing with social media, you're competing with Netflix, you're competing with other activities.
Yeah.
And so you've done a lot in terms of creativity and bringing different types of events. You just had Banana Ball, Cosmic Ball, you're doing community events. What goes into that creative process of bringing in different types of events to draw more eyes and attention? Yeah,
I think first of all, it just takes, the will, and just the connections and just the wherewithal to be able to put those on. So we're really a full year entertainment venue now. Pre-COVID, we were just our home games, then maybe one or two miscellaneous events from here. And that's one of those things, kind of a a forced business change, and we didn't have baseball for 18 months. We had to figure out how to get creative, how to keep cash flow coming in and keep the business running. So we just started getting creative of how can we activate the ballpark. We started small, but then have grown that. We actually have as many people coming to the ballpark on non-game day events that we do on game days now. So close to 1 million people come through Riders Field every year for Rough Rider games and non-game day events. So it's anything from a holiday light show that runs all the holiday season in the parking lot. You mentioned Banana Ball, which has been fantastic for the past 2 years. They do such a great job, and Jesse and their whole crew puts on a great show. They're wonderful to work with. We had Cosmic Baseball this year, which is glow-in-the-dark baseball, which was just a heck of a lot of fun. They throw a wild party, but we just had high school state playoffs last week. We have college games. We have cultural events. We have a lot of private parties. You name it, we do it at the ballpark.
That's amazing. And I've seen just from my role how important local partnerships are for making those kind of events happen. I mean, we're here right now because of Visit Frisco and them being able to promote just their community as a sports destination. Could you speak to the importance of those kind of partnerships to be able to have success with not just the Rough Riders, but all of these events that you're speaking of?
Absolutely. And I guess first and foremost, Frisco's unique. Not only for all the different venues that we have in here, but just the collaboration as well. Everybody at the Visit Frisco team, to the EDC, to City Council, City Manager's office, everybody's pulling in the same direction and wants to do what's best for Frisco and bring events to Frisco. But everybody with the city is just wonderful to work with on all the different partnerships. We all work together. We all work collaboratively to bring those, not only the big events, for the small events as well. You name it, we're all up for it. We're all game, and it's just been a lot of fun to work with them and bring those events to the city.
And I have to say, we work with a lot of cities across the country, and that is not the norm for destinations. And especially for Frisco, being here for the first time, I'm able to see just how built up it has gotten over the course of the last 10, 15 years. And I know 15 years ago, the baseball stadium was one of the only things really around the area. Can you talk about just the buildup around the stadium and just overall in Frisco as Sports City USA?
Yeah, the growth of Frisco has been wild. When I first started at the Rough Riders, the tollway ended a few exits down, and it was pretty much just us and Stonebriar Mall. That's what was around us, and that's what Frisco was. Now we have a skyline, so it's just been fun to see. But it's not just the growth; it's being able to capitalize on that growth too. And I think all the different venues around town in Frisco have been key to really bringing those different companies in. Because when a company wants to look for new headquarters, they want things for their employees to do. So the EDC does a good job. They visit all the venues when they're kind of courting those companies and kind of seeing all the different options that they can do to entertain their folks, and we fit right in that. I think minor league baseball is so unique because a 4-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 40-year-old can have a good time. So, it's not like, no offense to our friends at the Cowboys, but, you're probably not going to bring your 3-year-old to a suite at the Cowboys game, But the Rough Riders games have so much entertainment going on and so many things in between innings that everybody can enjoy it.
And do you have any advice in terms of just other minor league teams or any professional team being more open to collaborating with your sports commission or your CVB and just the overall local community to enhance that visitor experience? Yeah,
I think the biggest thing is just relationships and trust. I think one of the things that's been really helpful, at least from the Rough Riders perspective, is when the city or when the other venues bring ideas and bring other events to you. When you deliver on those and you go above and beyond for their partners, then obviously they're incentivized to bring more. So, always be open to those discussions. Always be fair. Always be curious of how you can go take your business and take those relationships to the next level. But then follow through, do what you say you're going to do, and usually good things happen after that.
And I'm sure one of those conversations was with Banana Ball and Cosmic Ball. I just got to experience my first Cosmic Ball and Banana Ball games, and just the overall experience was unlike anything I've seen from a sports perspective.
Are your ears still ringing from Cosmic Ball?
That I have never seen so many children at a game, which was just awesome, a family-friendly environment. And so when an opportunity like that comes, how are you open to those conversations? Who are you including in those conversations? And just why is it important to be open to that kind of innovation?
Well, I think it's important to be open to that conversation because it's almost expected now from those big kind of barnstorming groups that are out there going around to all the different cities, like Banana Ball, like Cosmic, because they want to make sure the entire region is aligned, before they come to a place. So they don't want to just say, okay, the Rough Riders have a nice venue. We trust them to put this on, but they want to know that the city's behind it. They want to know the CVB's behind it. So they just want to make sure that there's greater support. So that's why it's super important to have all that alignment, because not only is it, the kind of best practices, but it's really expected now, to be able to bring those type of events to your city.
Yep, definitely. And that's something from a fan perspective. It's a lot of fun. It's a great experience, but I'm sure operationally, what goes into an event like that?
Yeah, it's wild. It's different than what we do, obviously, because we kind of have our routines. We have 69 games, and as an operator, it's a bit of a challenge for somebody in my role, because you really kind of have to relinquish some control.
Yeah.
Because they come in and they run it, and they do such a great job. When they're putting it on, obviously we work with them, and kind of we handle the stadium ops, but they're running the show. They got the people in the control room, they got the mics. So you have to give up a certain amount of control, but it's so fun to have them at the ballpark, just because it is so unique, and there's new people coming into your ballpark that might not be, your typical Rough Rider fan. So just them coming out, experiencing baseball, creating new fans, it's just a win-win all the way around.
And you mentioned just some of the viral clips that you've gotten from just those events. And I know I saw it just from seeing Banana Ball doing some skits in the Lazy River.
Yep.
So could you speak to how that helps with the brand identity of Rough Riders as well as the stadium?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, on the Lazy River, it was funny. Jesse Cole, the founder of Banana Ball, right when he got to the ballpark, he called me, and he was already out at the Lazy River, and he was just looking at everything, because he had this idea in his head on how that skit would come together, but he hadn't seen it in person, so he just wanted to see it and talk through it, and hey, what can we do? What can we not do? So I was like, no, it's you. You do what you need to do. I trust you. But those moments are so cool. We just had one in Cosmic Ball 2 where some of the cosmic rules during an inning, a fan can actually catch a foul ball, throw it back into play, and get a player out. And it happened during one of our games in Frisco. But those moments are just fun because they go viral. It only helps from a awareness standpoint for the Rough Riders. It helps from a sponsor standpoint, getting out that word about the Rough Riders. And it's again just a win-win all the way around.
That's amazing. And to speak a little bit on the Rough Riders as well, because that is one step away from the big leagues, is who you're handling. So how have you gotten the team buy-in from games and experiences outside of just the Rough Riders?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, we have a relationship with the Texas Rangers. All of our guys funnel up eventually to the big leagues up in Arlington. We've actually had over 200 players who have now played in the big leagues that have played in Frisco. But I think first and foremost, the Rangers just hire good quality people that run their front office and run their coaching staff, and that trickles down to the players as well. So, they're all game to help out. They have fun in games. At our level, guys are not jaded yet. They're not, they want to sign autographs. They want to interact with fans, and they're always open to be part of the community as well. So anytime that we ask for help at a camp or a youth clinic, or go visit a kid at a children's hospital and drop off some goodies, they're always up for that.
It's crazy how much that has changed even since I was playing. Just the importance of social media and having the players interact and the storytelling behind the organization. Could you speak to the importance of that storytelling and having that buy-in from your organization? Yeah,
for sure. Kristen and our whole marketing team with the Rough Riders does a great job of really pushing the social media side. So they're coming up with new ideas all the time, every day, whether it be the one that I thought was the funniest is they had all the guys try to draw the state of Texas, and that, and that went on social media, and then, they put it on the Rider Vision video board out in the outfield, but they're always coming up with, different ideas, and we want to learn from them too. So we try to figure out what their hot buttons are, what their likes are, and then try to build out some content and some creativity around that. But, just keep it light, keep it fun. Those guys are usually up for doing it.
That's amazing. And on the topic of storytelling, I think Frisco does one of the best jobs in terms of really telling the story of Sports City USA. So could you give a pitch to why events should come to Frisco?
Yeah, Frisco's the place to be. Everything's happening. There's so much momentum here. And like I said earlier, I think Frisco is so unique just because everybody is pulling in the same direction. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed. And it's something, if it's going to be in the city of Frisco, the city's going to support it, the venues are going to support it, the CVB, it's just the place to be.
Yeah. And you're a bit different in terms of you're not traveling for games. So you are within the sports tourism realm, but not in the same way. And I think that a lot of the cities that we work with have a minor league team in their city that they might not be using as an asset. And so What would be your pitch to why a CVB or Sports Commission should partner and work with their minor league team?
Yeah, my pitch to minor league teams is just look at the business opportunity. There's 69 games that you have on your schedule at the AA level. That leaves a lot of opportunities to program your ballpark on non-game days. And, there's obviously things that we can do in the baseball realm, but if you work with your sports commission, the CVB, they can get creative, they can get connections, they're going to different conferences, they're able to bring ideas to you that really help your business and just help your overall ballpark experience.
It's amazing. Now, I have some lightning round questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, fire away.
Finish up, and I'm going to have to look for these. And so,
yeah.
What would your most underrated sports city be? Not Frisco.
Underrated sports city, not Frisco. I'll probably go San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah, I think San Antonio, obviously they're super passionate about their Spurs, growing market right there. And the San Antonio Missions are building a new ballpark, the AA team that's going to be downtown. I think it's just going to be fantastic.
Spurs fan?
I'm not. I'm a Mavericks fan,
Okay.
yes.
Pulling for the Knicks?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
But one sports experience every sports fan should experience.
I'd say the Masters. I haven't done that yet, but I would love that. I think one sports experience is just, those with children, take your kids to an experience. I took my kid to Wrigley last year. I try to take him to a ballpark every year. So having that connection with your kid, with your dad, with your grandpa, sports is such a unifier within our society. And it's the one thing in society nowadays where you're putting your phone away for 4 hours and having a conversation. So I would say no matter where you go, just make that a communal experience with somebody that you love.
I love that. So most chaotic event that you've ever managed?
Chaotic event I've ever managed. It probably was Cosmic Ball this past year. Because again, it's just, you can plan for it, but when the lights go out, and you have baseball going on, the team does a wonderful job and they do great. It just, I've never operated a venue when you don't have lights. So it's just different. You have kids running around trying to chase home run balls and all that stuff.
Yep.
So, again, it was a wonderful experience. So much fun. Could not recommend it enough. But yeah, it was pretty chaotic.
Actually, for people who might not know what Cosmic Ball is, could you give a quick explanation of what it is and why the lights are not on during the game? Yeah,
for sure. Cosmic Baseball, to break down simplest terms, is glow-in-the-dark baseball. So they play half a game. That's kind of real baseball, similar to banana ball, where they have some extra stuff going on. They have a 45-minute intermission for the sun to go down, and then lights go off. They actually bring their own rigging of black lights in, so the black lights go up, and they play glow-in-the-dark baseball. They got confetti flying everywhere, glow-in-the-dark balls, bats, uniforms. They put glow-in-the-dark chalk on the field itself. So it's quite a visual.
It is. From a fan experience side of things, it's unlike anything you've seen, and so I can't imagine operationally what that looks like. But one thing destinations think fans care about more than they actually do.
I think one thing that Frisco does is, number one, just be aggressive. You have people out there that are looking for those opportunities. So there's multiple groups, the cities they're having those conversations and actively trying to get groups and events here to Frisco. And again, once you kind of build that base, people want to start, coming to you, and that momentum builds. So once those events start happening and you do a good job, word gets out and people want to come to your city. And it just, we're getting inbound calls now that we never would have gotten 3 years ago. It's just, we get calls from companies that say, I heard you guys did a great job at this event. We'd love to talk about bringing, our new opportunity to your ballpark.
Totally. It's funny. That's something that I've known Josh from Visit Frisco for a while now, since probably we started Playeasy. And that's something that he has always said is he has built so much trust within the space that the amount of inbound leads that they get compared to other cities is a lot, because they've built that trust and that collaboration within their city. So that's great to hear. Most underrated part of the fan experience?
So I think the most underrated part of the fan experience is the quiet parts. I think that's what makes baseball so unique. It's a conversation sport. So, just sitting down and having a conversation with somebody for 3 hours with the game and the entertainment as your background. I think that's the most underrated part, but I also think it's the most special part.
Favorite food at the ballpark?
There's a lot. I got to be careful. When you work at a ballpark, it can catch up to you, if you're having hot dogs every single day.
Yeah, oh, I can't imagine.
So we have a lot of really good food. Texas Holy Barbecue just came in this past year. They're a State Fair of Texas vendor. So they have all those wacky barbecue concepts and all those fried things, all that good healthy food out there. So that probably is my favorite.
Okay. I'm excited. We're going to the game today.
Nice.
So I'm a little scared also for how much I'm going to eat. But one thing Frisco does better than anyone else.
I think Frisco is just always forward thinking, and Frisco is always trying to look at what is next. And Frisco is also not afraid to take chances, So I think it's been one of those things where they've been on the cutting edge and on the growth and bringing companies and events in, and you can tell by the success of that they've had.
That's amazing. Favorite sporting event you've ever been to?
Favorite sporting event I've ever been to?
Or maybe most memorable?
Yeah. Probably the Rangers 2 World Series runs, and actually not the year they won.
Okay.
Probably my best memories were 2010 and 2011 on the Rangers World Series runs. It was kind of on the way up, and I think that kind of the first time you experienced that, it was a lot of fun to watch that with my wife and my family. That's
amazing. We did a tour of the Dallas Cowboys stadium at the Star yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm an Eagles fan, so I sadly had to
I'm a Browns fan. So.
Okay,
yeah, I know.
Tough time.
My dad's from Ohio, got me started on them early, so lifetime of disappointment. Yeah.
But it was during the tour. It was brought up a few times, the Super Bowls and Dallas compared to the Eagles, and it did bring me back to when the Eagles did win the Super Bowl, and that emotion that I can still feel watching the game with my dad and my grandfather at the time, and the rest of my family, and just how much sports can really mean and what memorable times that they make in your life.
Yeah.
And it could really bring you back. And
actually, there's one I forgot. I went to Baylor, so when they won the basketball national championship a couple years ago, that was a lot of fun. I couldn't go, it was during COVID time, so they had very much limited the amount of tickets there. But I watched it actually at the ballpark in one of our bars with a couple of my buddies. We had a great time watching that. And, being a Baylor fan, you don't ever think you're going to win something like that. So it was so cool to experience that.
Oh, that's amazing. And then pitch why someone should come to a RoughRiders game.
RoughRider games are all about fun, so there's always something going on. Again, it's the sights, the sounds, the smells. And it's just, again, it's a throwback to what baseball used to be. And it's a great experience for anybody of all ages.
Amazing. Well, Scott, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, everyone. Until next time.